Good evening and welcome to the world of book reviews. Tonight we have a wonderful guest, Debbie Donaldson. I'm Judy Mario, your host, and we're talking to Debbie about her new book, Superpowers Activated, Discovering the Magic. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you for being here. Tell us about your book.
Well, thank you again for having me on the show. I really do appreciate it. And my book is about discovering the strengths that we have within us and the actions that we take that create them into superpowers for us.
So tell me some of the strengths that are superpowers.
Some of the easy ones are courage, bravery. Some of the not so easy ones that we don't think of as strength within us is hope and faith and peace, tranquility. And there are 53 superpowers in the book. I had honed them down to 53 from more than 70.
Oh my goodness.
And the thought process behind that is to give the reader a superpower to focus on and think about each week.
Oh, I see. So for 52 weeks of the year, and then they have an extra one just in case.
A bonus one. And the bonus one happened by accident. When we were proofing the book, we discovered we had used a number twice. And I scoured the superpowers to figure out one to get rid of, and I couldn't figure one out, so I kept it in.
So you kept 53. Well, that's great. Now, who did you write the book for?
What do you mean by that question?
I mean, who do you want to read the book? Is there a particular audience that you're looking, that the book was aimed at, or was it for women, or was it for men? Was it for a certain age group?
Well, I didn't start out with an audience in mind. I started out with a journal. And it wasn't until I went back through my journal one day, I realized that these words that I had written and the descriptions that I'd given them, I should probably share with people. And one of the words that I had written in my journal that day, I had told someone at work that was their superpower. And that's how the title of the book came about. And it wasn't until after I finished the book that, it kind of, as you go through that process of finishing up, you have to identify an audience. And at first I thought the audience was probably women 25 to 55 or so going through some sort of transition. Mm-hmm. And I've been proven wrong. The book has been purchased equally by men and women, and my followers on my website and blog and social media is equal men and women. And so I don't know that I can say that there's a specific audience other than probably someone going through some sort of transition. And what it does is help the person. And the book is written in a way, it's not a dense, heavy read, or it's not like a novel, it's more like a companion. I give the definitions of the superpowers, and in writing the book, I figured out that I was a little uncomfortable talking about my own superpowers when a friend asked me about it, and I realized that some of the readers would probably be like that. And so I gave, for each superpower, there are 4 or 5 questions to help the reader see that strength or superpower in someone else, in their own actions, and in what maybe their friends would say, their trusted friends would say about them and that strength.
That's amazing. I really enjoyed the book. I read through it, and I liked the format. I liked the fact that it was kind of a journal, but not really a journal, and it had a lot more information than a journal would have, but it had a place that if I wanted to think about it or meditate on it or write about it, I could. I felt very good with the book. Did you have that in mind when you started, or tell me what your process of writing is about?
So I can tell you, I always had in mind that it would be a journal, and I have to confess, I drew the icon. Your finger is covering up, but the little icon that the little power up,
the little superpower.
Yeah, I had drawn that before I decided to write the book, and I went to a jeweler because I was thinking that would make a good piece of jewelry, and then a
Oh.
superpower card with it, or a little booklet, or a little pamphlet. And the jeweler, when I told him what was going on, he said, "No, you have to write a book. The jewelry is second to that. You have to write." So many people I talked to really guided me to write the book, and I originally thought that it should be timeless and not have my own story in it. And friends' advice were, as I talked to people about the book, they all said I needed to put my story in it, because superpowers aren't about not having hardship in your life. It's about developing those strengths through the hardships you face in your life. And so I faced a few hardships, and I talk about that in the front of the book.
Yes, I noticed that, and I thought that was incredibly, well, how would I say it? It's authentic. It's authentic. It was very authentic of you to share that about your own life, and it made me feel like I knew you better.
Oh, thank
and
you.
I think that's what will happen with most of your readers. They'll feel like, oh, I know her, or she's been through what I've been through, and if she could get through this, maybe this will help me.
And I really hope that that's the takeaway the reader has. I don't want anyone to ever look at it and say, well, I haven't been through that, or she hasn't been through what I've been through. It's not about a competition. It really is about looking at this in a way that if someone just goes to a word in the book like joy, and there in that chapter there's a dictionary definition, and then there are questions, and then there's my definition of the superpower in action. And I originally had planned for the notes to be right with the chapter, and when I laid the book out that way, it didn't feel right. It felt like the notes needed to be all together, so that when the reader does make notes about the superpower or about their thoughts or feelings, and they go back to the book, their story is all together. It's not intermingled within the book. Their story is all together.
That's a very good format. We're going to have to take a quick break now, Debbie. We'll be right back. We're going to have Debbie Donaldson talk to us a little bit more about her wonderful book, Superpowers Activated, Superpowers 365. So please come back in a couple of minutes and join us, or stay for the commercial.
Thank you for calling Denim Revival.
Hate to say goodbye to your favorite jeans? Well, now you don't have to, because Denim Revival is here for you. Mail us your jeans and our professionals will fix it right up. We offer you all kinds of alteration services, including invisible repairs, let-outs, taperings, and original hemming, or even have your own custom-made jeans. Quoted the best denim repair shop by GQ, Vogue Magazine, and LA Times. Denim Revival, your search for alteration and repair ends here.
Welcome back. This is the World of Book Reviews. I'm Judy Mario, your host, and my guest this evening is Debbie Donaldson. And I've known Debbie for quite a few years, but only recently Debbie wrote this incredible book, and I wanted to have her on the show to talk to you about her book and to tell you a little bit about the process of writing the book, which we've been talking about, and also a little bit about what happened as a result of writing the book. So Debbie, welcome back.
Thank you, Judy.
And please tell our audience a little bit more about you and what's happened as a result of this book.
Well, Judy, you know this. In the middle of writing the book, I ended up getting breast cancer, and I thought during the treatment and the chemotherapy that, and I couldn't work during that time, and I thought I'd finish the book, and I really couldn't finish it. I was so afraid, and I was so in so much pain, and really concerned about my own life, and I couldn't figure out how can I write about superpowers when I'm so afraid. And I decided to read what I had written. I thought maybe I just need to read what I've written to see where I should go next. And when I read what I had written, I knew that this book one day needed to be published, because it really helped me get through
Yes.
those dark days.
And one of your superpowers was faith.
Yes.
And you know, you either have faith or you have fear. And so did you run across that one when you were reading?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Faith and hope were the two big ones, but also serenity and tranquility. Finding ways to create a sense of serenity within myself so that my body could heal was very important to me, and healing. I found that very healing.
Yes, it is very healing, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I went through that, as you know, and so I can identify with you. And there's a lot of women in our viewing audience that have also been through various forms of cancer, and it is scary. You know, when
Right.
someone says you have cancer, all of a sudden you're like totally alone. You feel like,
Right.
whoa, this is the most alone moment of my life. And then you have to figure out who you are and what's really important to you and what your values are. And I think it's awesome that you were in the middle of this book at the time,
Yeah.
because figuring that out is one of the things that helped me get well. And I believe it probably helped you get well
It
by
did.
doing that.
It did, and not everybody survives what we have been through.
No.
And I was especially petrified, and because my mother and grandmother both had passed away from breast cancer. So
That would
I
be
wondered,
scary.
and I had already outlived my mother by a couple of years when I found out. So I was, this was very helpful in that healing process.
And since the time that you've written this book, it's helped a lot of other people too, I understand.
Well, the funny thing, Judy, is that I didn't know I was going to finish the book at this moment in time. I had decided, I went back to work after treatment, and I thought, later in life, when I retire, I'll finish the book and publish it, and it'll be my legacy,
Right.
you know. And something happened at work, and I've been a publisher most of my career, and the paper that I was the publisher for went out of business, and well, it was the Review Journal shut down. The Las Vegas Business Press is what happened, and I spent a few months looking for another job. During that time, I finished the book, and the book was finished in December. I decided to set up my own publishing company. A friend reached out to do my book launch. She really wanted to do the book launch. And the thing that happened at that book launch is people wanted me to come speak at their
Yes.
events.
Yes.
And so that was the huge thing that happened, is people wanted me to come speak at their events. And so I reached out to you because although I've spoken throughout my career, I've represented other people's products or
Right.
services or systems, not my own book or my own ideas and opinions. And so that's why I reached out to you.
But you know, you have such good subject matter here. And I love the title Superpowers, because I believe that many of us do have superpowers, and we are just not really aware of the power that we have. Even those of us who are extremely confident, sometimes I think we don't fully understand how much of our brain and our abilities we don't even use. And when we make up our mind, okay, I can do this, I can be successful, miracles happen.
Right.
And I saw that was a subtitle here, Discovering the Miracle.
Yes, discovering the magic.
The magic, yes.
And I think that subtitle happened when a friend of mine I was asking her advice about the book before it was published, said, "What are your superpowers?" And I went, "Oh." I've been so comfortable looking at this from the perspective of other people's superpowers, I hadn't really looked at my own. And of course, happiness was the first one that I came up with, because throughout my life, no matter what, I've been a happy person. But it wasn't until I realized how uncomfortable that was for me to think about my own superpowers and describe how to look at those superpowers, because I kind of did it myself, you
Right.
know, and so yeah, it really is discovering magic. But the other part of the magic, Judy, is when we activate our own superpowers, the influence it has on other people, the positive impact that being joyful has on other people is incredible.
It's amazing, isn't it?
And then there are the more pragmatic superpowers like strategic and logic. And there are some superpowers in there that I know are superpowers, but I struggled a little bit writing about them because I don't own them.
Yet.
I don't own them yet,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And I'll also share with you a person who had read the book, or before she read the book, she bought the book, and before she read it, she said, I just want you to know that at this point in my life, I am not working on my weaknesses. I am working on my strengths. And I said, oh my gosh, this is the perfect book for you, because this book is not about looking for where you're weak and shoring that up. It's about looking for where you're strong.
Oh, I like that.
And making yourself, making that a superpower.
Wow.
Because you focus on a strength and make it a superpower, you might focus on a weakness and make it a strength.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Debbie, for being with us this evening and for sharing your wonderful new book. I would like very much for you to tell our audience how they can get a copy of your book and give them your website so that they can be in touch with you if they'd like to be.
Wonderful. Superpowers365.com is my website. You can buy a book there. You can also contact me there. I would love to chat with you.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for being with us this evening. And please watch our other shows right here on this station with Amy Kardashian and Stephanie Thompson. And you can always go into akexpertstv.com to take a look at any of our shows. They're all archived there. So thank you for being with us. We'll see you again soon.